This Thursday, June 27th, MLB Betting Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code MLB SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, June the 26th, here to get into the games for Thursday, June the 27th. I think it's a 9-game schedule. One game off the board right now. That's going to be the Orioles game, as we are waiting, I believe, for a pitcher for the Rangers side of things. But that is the only game off the board right now. Got a couple new pitchers that are going to be, or let's just say, pitchers making their season debut or even their MLB debut on the Thursday card as well. So we'll go through all of that on this episode. Of course, we'll get you our lock and dog pick and, of course, our home run picks as well for the Thursday games. But joining me here to help me break everything down on the Thursday card, got my guy here with me. It's Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hot over here on the East Coast. I think we've had like 5-6 straight days of 90+ degrees. So it's a scorcher out here, but doing well. Shout out JT Mack in the chat. We made him $500. Well, I did it. I know you and Scott and Mao $500 richer this afternoon after yesterday's pick. So you guys are on a hot streak, better than me. I've been slumping here lately in the MLB.
Yeah, I gave out 8.5 on the over for the Astros game. It pushed on 8. So I lost that lock for the Wednesday afternoon game. But if you got that 8, great, because you pushed. There was opportunities late in that game for them to get over that 8.5. But if you bet the number on Wednesday morning or closer to game time, you were able to get an 8, which was pretty much the total at that time. But I fell short on my lock. I still have the White Sox first 5 pending for tonight as my dog here, so we'll see how it pans out. But JT Mack, shout out to him. I'm glad that he was able to follow our picks and get some money in his pocket for sure. So hopefully we can continue that here on this episode for the Thursday games. Thursday usually getaway day for a lot of these teams, but we do have 9 games. Some intriguing matchups to start the weekend. A lot of divisional matchups going on this weekend. We got Guardians and Royals, got Reds and Cardinals, Yankees, Blue Jays, Marlins, Phillies. So it should be a fun Thursday afternoon/evening as far as baseball goes. But D-Rock, before we dive into the games here, let me tell everyone to make sure to check out the Sports Gambling Podcast with Sean and Ryan as they've started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. The Quarterbacks and Titans episodes are already live, and it's never too early for the National Football League. So again, make sure to check out Sean and Ryan on the Sports Gambling Podcast for all your fantasy football rankings. All right, let's get into it here, D-Rock. 9 games on the schedule, and we'll start with the first game on the board. We'll go over to the game between the Minnesota Twins, and the Arizona Diamondbacks as they wrap up their series on Thursday afternoon. Jordan Montgomery gets the start here for the Diamondbacks, left-handed pitcher, and you were informing me that for the Minnesota Twins, remind me who it is again, D-Rock?
His name is David Fiesta.
Okay, so you said he's the number 5 prospect for the Twins?
Yeah, number 5 prospect for the Twins.
Yeah. So he gets to start here for the Twins. Diamondbacks are a slight home favorite here, -112 on the money line, -104 for the Minnesota Twins. Total is at 9.5 in this game here. D-Rock, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I could do it. Like I said, number 5 prospect. I had to look into it a little bit. I never heard of the name David Fiesta, but he's actually from Verona, which is about like 10 minutes away from me. So that's pretty cool. But he's been really good in AAA for the Twinnies. In his last outing about think the 15th or 16th in June last week. He struck out 10 batters in 6 innings last week. So he's a big strikeout guy, has a lot of velocity, doesn't walk a lot of batters as well. So should be really good. D-backs are a good hitting team, so we'll see how long the Twins let him go for. Twins, it should be a bullpen game. I'm interested to see how long they'll let David go for, maybe 4 to 5 innings, but they do have the better bullpen of the two. My one worry is backing the Snakes is, how poorly Montgomery has been for them at home. I just can't back him with the amount of hard contact he gives up, the amount of runs he gives up at home. I don't like it. I'm actually going to take a shot here with the rookie and the Twins here on the money line, -104. I also lean under 9.5. I feel like the total's a little high. My total came out to 9.1 if it's going to be a bullpen game for the Twins. So lean under, and I'm going to take a shot here with the Jersey kid.
Yeah, Montgomery's been pretty good over his last 2 starts, I guess we can say. The Diamondbacks have won 3 straight starts that he has made, all 3 games. The offense has really showed up by scoring at least 5 runs in each of those 3 games. But again, it was the Angels, it was the White Sox. I'm not sure how much you really want to take away from that. But that start he had against the Phillies was really solid. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts for him. Curious to see how he's done at home because, again, more of a hitter's ballpark over there in Arizona. So I think that's where the difference really comes in. And if you're just looking at standard pitching stats, 4.80 road ERA, 6.55 at home, and 7 starts, 2-2 record for him. So, a lot of times when you see these prospects coming up, it's difficult for the other team because they really don't have a lot of, scouting report, and they don't have a lot of tape on what he's able to do here. So I think sometimes those type of players have the advantage here. So I think this might be an opportunity, like you mentioned, for the Twins, whether it's the first 5 or you want to take them full game. Couldn't talk you off of that. So I'll look at the Twins side here, maybe a Twins team total over in this game. I think would be worth a look as well, but definitely on the Twins side of things for the first game on the Thursday card. Getting over to the next game on the schedule, we'll go over to a 3:46 Eastern start time. We've got the Chicago Cubbies. They are wrapping up their series against the San Francisco Giants. Shota Imanaga on the mound here for the Chicago Cubs. It'll be Jordan Hicks for the San Francisco Giants. It's -110 on each money line. Total is at 7.5 in this game here. D-Rock, what do you got for Cubs and Giants?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the Giants in this one. I do think this is a good spot and a good matchup for them. At home, Giants play much better against a lefty where they hit 265 on the year against lefty. And let's look at Imanaga's last start against my Mets. Just 3 innings, gave up 11 hits on 10 runs. 3 long balls as well. Giants, they've been swinging the bat well lately, especially in this series against the Cubs. 5 runs in back-to-back games where the Cubs have just scored more than 4 runs just one time in the last 5 games. So they're struggling offensively, and I feel like that's been the recurring theme for the Cubs this season. That's been the problem for them all year, is producing runs. It doesn't matter how good the pitching has been. They just can't. They have trouble scoring runs consistently. So I honestly think the Giants are a slightly better team, especially at home. So I'm going to take the Giants here -102. I think the wrong team is favored. I made the Giants a -115 favorite.
Let's take a look at Jordan Hicks. Not going a lot of length either, and walks are a huge concern for him as well. He's given up at least 3 walks in 3 out of the last 4 starts. Last 2 outings against the Cubs, in fact, had a good outing in that game. They won 7-6 to the Giants. 5 shutout innings, did have 4 strikeouts, but also had 4 walks in that game as well. This was back on June 17th. But other than that, you're not getting a whole heck of a lot of length out of Jordan Hicks. Imanaga, just came out of the gate on fire. Looked like he was unstoppable. Came back down to earth in that game against the Brewers. Gave up 7 earned runs in 4 1/3. Did have a bounce back outing against the Cubs, but again, only lasted 4 1/3 in that game. But like you mentioned, it's really number one that he gave up 10 earned runs in the last start against your Mets, and then also that the Cubs are just not producing runs right now. And I think this is a game where we've seen the first 2 games of the series where the Giants have used a lot of their bullpen. So that bullpen maybe attacks a little bit. So I think there's an opportunity for the Cubs. It probably is in this game. Can I trust their offense? Absolutely not. And that's the part that I can't get behind right now. So I think 7.5 is a little bit conservative here. Maybe when the bullpens do come in, they'll give up the runs here. I'll side here with the Giants. I don't love it. But again, I would probably wait for a live total in this game. If these two pitchers are dialed in, that the bullpens come in and really give up the runs in the latter part of the game here. So that's the way I'm looking at it in this game between the Cubs and the Giants. All right, we'll go over to the next game on the schedule. We'll go over to a makeup game here between the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago White Sox. Chris Sale, in fact, getting the start here against his former team, the Chicago White Sox. Drew Thorpe is supposed to be the projected starter here for the Chicago White Sox. Braves are close to a $3 favorite in this game, minus 290 on the money line for the Braves, plus 235 for the Chicago White Sox. Total is at 8.5 in this game here. Obviously not laying the minus 1.5. Or sorry, not even maybe the 1.5.
Not even that.
But again, look, Chris Sale has been absolutely fantastic thus far this season, right? I mean, he's probably in that conversation for Cy Young. Really has rejuvenated his career. I mean, he was dealing with a lot of injury. I think me and Scott talked about Chris Sale yesterday, as well the day prior. But I don't want to say there's extra motivation for him to go up against his former team, but it's just the fact that the White Sox are not very good. And I think the city of Chicago is really struggling right now as far as it comes to their baseball teams. I think for this game, it's really hard to find any value on either on the Brave side. I mean, if you're brave enough and if you want to take, no pun intended, the minus 2.5, if your book does offer that, I mean, that may be worth a look here. But Drew Thorpe coming off a pretty solid start against the Detroit Tigers in Detroit in his last start last Friday, 6 shutout innings, 5 strikeouts, did have 4 walks. Now the walks are a huge concern for Drew Thorpe because he's given up 9 walks over his last 2 starts. He did get hammered against the Arizona Diamondbacks 2 starts ago, only lasted 3 1/3, 7 earned runs he gave up in 5 walks, like I mentioned in that game. So, I mean, obviously it's Braves. If you're a money line or a parlay player, if you want to add the 1.5 to your parlay here, I mean, this would be the Braves side, minus 2.5. But again, there's just no value on this game here for the Braves side if you do like it here, D-Rock.
Yeah, I mean, even the minus 2.5, I don't think you're going to get that big of a
plus it's probably going to be like minus 110.
Yeah. So tough to get any value here. I mean, unless you want to take a shot with the White Sox, which I don't expect a lot of people to. I'm going to go with a total, though. I'm going to take a shot here on the under 8.5 over on FanDuel. A little chalky at minus 122, but my total came out to 7.6. So even if the total comes down to 8, which I do expect it to, I still like the under. The White Sox have been a dead under team this whole year, especially recently. 4 of their last 5 games have gone under the number. Braves 3-2 towards the under their last 5. And like you mentioned, Chris Sale has been terrific this season. On the road, he hasn't allowed more than 2 runs. He's only allowed more than 2 runs one time on the road this season. I love this spot for him. And Drew Thorpe, this is going to be his first start at home this season, and this is going to be the toughest lineup he's faced this season. So don't like the spot for him. Maybe you want to attack the White Sox team total, 2.5, maybe 3 under. I like that, but I think this is a great spot for the Braves. I think they win comfortably. Minus 1.5 is at minus 160. Maybe you want to put it in a parlay, but I see like a 5-1, 5-2 type game. So I'm going to dive under here, 8.5.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off of that. I mean, again, just not a whole of a lot of value when you have the Braves going up against one of the worst teams in the entire MLB in the Chicago Cubs. I don't know why I keep saying Cubs. The Chicago White Sox at this juncture right now. All right, D-Rock, before we get over to the next game on the schedule, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for Underdog Fantasy, and you can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement's higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount, and you can now use specials and boost on all of your flex entries. Stay tuned when we give our home run picks here for the Thursday games. That's going to be part of my entry here for sure, so I can maximize the payout value. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it is gone. Plus, if you're already a user between now and UFC 303 for you can get a 10% bonus cash, but that's only until Saturday, UFC 303. So again, make sure if you already have an account, reload that account and you'll get a 10% bonus cash offer. So sign up with promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code MLB SGPN. And guess what? Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. That's right, guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa Sports have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. And if you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football, well, Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go and hang out with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world. That's from August 22nd through August 24th. All right, let's keep it rolling here. We'll get over to the next game on the schedule. That's going to be a battle between, I'm not sure if it'll be much of a battle, but 2 division teams here in the NL East. The Miami Marlins, they are going to be visiting the Philadelphia Phillies in this game. Currently, I am seeing it will be Trevor Rogers for the Miami Marlins as a starter, and it'll be Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies a minus 295 home favorite, plus 240 on the money line for the Marlins here. Total is 7.5 in this game here. I know Trevor Rogers was supposed to get the start on Wednesday afternoon because I do remember Scott and I talking about Trevor Rogers being the starter in the Wednesday afternoon game for the Marlins against the Royals. So I guess they pushed him back here, but I'm going to keep this one simple here. Zach Wheeler on the run line has been a gift to me so far this season. We know the numbers for Trevor Rogers of how bad he's been as a starter for the Miami Marlins. It's minus 1.5 here for me, D-Rock. I'm not going to think about it twice.
Yeah, great bounce back start for Wheeler in his last start against Arizona. You know, he got rocked 2 previous starts ago against the Orioles. But, you know, this is another spot where I do think he could have success. The Marlins, they've been scrappy as of late. You know, they're still not scoring a ton of runs. And against the Phillies and that lineup, you're going to have to put up at least 4 to 5 runs to at least be competitive. So look at the last time these 2 teams played back in May. The Phillies won 2 of 3, and they scored a total of 22 runs in those games. And one of those games was against Trevor Rogers. He gave up 4 runs in 3 innings. Phillies, they rake against lefties. Fish, they're not good on the road. Just 1-5 straight up in 6 road starts for Rogers. Can't talk you off of it. Minus 1.5 for the Phillies. I like the team total over 4.5 as well. I like Phillies a lot here tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I want to say, and I'm looking this up right now as we speak, that the Marlins in particular have not been very good in game 1 of a series, especially on the road. Yeah, Marlins just 2-10 straight up in the first game of a series, and on the run line, let me see if I can find that information here. They are just 4-9 on the run line. Meanwhile, the Phillies have been really good in game 1s of a series, especially now that they have, or not especially, but that they have Zach Wheeler on the mound here. So this would be a good spot here for the Phillies, led by their ace pitcher in Zach Wheeler. All right, getting over to the next game on the schedule here, we'll go over to the game between the Rangers and the Orioles. I did mention at the top of the episode that this is the game that does not have official lines up just yet. We do have a pitcher, I believe, for the Orioles side here. Let me just double check this here. Let me get over to Thursday. I know that the Rangers wrapped up their series against the Brewers. They took the loss there in extra innings. So they will be traveling to Baltimore here for this game. I do see John Gray supposed to get the start here for the Rangers, and I see Corbin Burns getting the start here, at least for the Baltimore Orioles side here. D-Rock, is that what you see for at least the Baltimore side?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be John Gray. I think maybe they just confirmed Corbin Burns because the whole day they didn't have anyone up, and I wasn't really sure. But yeah, I see they put up MLB.com put up Corbin Burns. So yeah, I'm assuming it is Corbin Burns. And if it is Corbin Burns, I expect, especially having to travel to Baltimore after a tough loss in extra innings, you got to imagine they'll be big favorites here at home with their ace on the mound.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see lines posted just yet,
No.
but I mean, Corbin Burns has been absolutely fantastic thus far this season. It was a great pickup in a trade by the Orioles that they needed that frontline starter. And we talked a lot about that over the last, when we were doing our division previews leading up to the season. And, Corbin Burns is coming off a rough start against the Astros. He did go 7 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 5 strikeouts in that game. But usually when he does have a bad outing like that, he usually does bounce back. And he's gone at least 7 innings in 4 of his last 5 starts. And outside of that last start against the Astros, prior to that, he had gone in those previous 4 starts, 27 innings, just allowed 3 earned runs in that span. And it was against respectable offenses. The Phillies, the Rays, okay. Blue Jays, inconsistent. And also against the Red Sox, who now they're firing on all cylinders right now, as that Red Sox team. So they've been absolutely fantastic for the I should say Corbin Burns here. John Gray on the other side. I know we don't have lines, but I'll quickly mention this here for John Gray. On the season, 3-3 with a 3.03 ERA. His last start was absolutely phenomenal against the Royals. And Royals are another offense that are struggling right now. I know we talked about the Cubs as well, but Royals have really been struggling as well. Again, your Mets have just been lighting it up against some of these pitchers. He had a start against the Mets, 3 innings. He allowed 9 earned runs. But other than that, he had been pretty solid. So, yeah, like you mentioned, I expect the Orioles to be a massive favorite here. I'll probably look at the run line there. Also, another offense that's struggling, the Rangers.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to Scott yesterday, Dylan, that, last season, within a blink of an eye, you would see the Rangers putting up 3, 4, 5 runs, and now they've just really been struggling. I know they got to Dallas Keuchel today, making his first start of the season, but Nathan Eovaldi just wasn't able to pitch well, and he has had his road struggles as well. So I say all that to be on the Orioles run line here for this game here. But again, no official lines just yet here, D-Rock. You have anything for the game?
Yeah, if we're able to get plus money, I love Corbin Burns here, and kind of like a bounce back start. Like you mentioned, every time he kind of has, I wouldn't say a terrible game, but it was probably his worst game of the season, I would say. But don't look now, but the Houston Astros, they're surging. They're 500. Yeah. They won again today. So yeah, watch out. They're streaking too. And I know a lot of people, Orioles, they're like, oh, they've lost 5 in a row, but let's relax. They lost to the best team, and they also, which is the Guardians, I think. And also they just got swept by Astros, who another team that's been surging. So they've been running into the buzzkill recently. But at home, 25-16. He's been fantastic at home. He has under a 1 ERA. It's 1.84 ERA, Corbin Burns. And John Gray is good, but I just don't trust this offense. I would argue the Orioles have a top 5, maybe 6 offense in the league. So yeah, I think they're going to take it to John Gray. I don't trust Texas. I don't trust their offense. Today was the first time they scored 5 runs in like over a week. So I don't trust that offense. That bullpen is one of the worst bullpens in the league as well. So yeah, I think this is a good spot for the Orioles to bounce back and, get back into the winning column. But I still have faith in them. And let's be honest, I think Corbin Burns would probably be leading the odds in the AL Cy Young if it wasn't for Tariq Skubal. Is that fair to say?
I would think so. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of it right now, but let me see if they have the updated odds right now.
I'm looking at it right now. It's Tariq Skubal plus 190, Corbin Burns plus 300, Tanner Houck, very surprising, plus 950, Logan Gilbert 11-1, Garrett Crochet 11-1, and Cole Reagan's 14-1.
Yeah. And you can't take anything away from what Tariq Skubal's been able to do. I mean, he's just been absolutely fantastic for the Tigers. I mean, well deserved right now to be odds-on favorite. But like you mentioned, Corbin Burns should be right there in that conversation, as he always is. In that and Cy Young Award, whether he was pitching for the Brewers in the National League or now in the American League for the Orioles. So, we'll leave it at that. All right, before we get over to the next game on the schedule here, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. That's going to be Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, let's get over to the next game on the schedule here. We'll go over to a battle of AL East teams. We've got the New York Yankees. They will be in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. I am seeing Carlos Rodon getting the start here for the New York Yankees, and then for the Toronto Blue Jays, I see TBD, but let me see if they have announced a
I think
pitcher.
it's Jose Barrios.
It's going to be Barrios? Yeah, that's what I see as well now. So, all right, Jose Barrios for this game for the Blue Jays. The Yankees are a -138 road favorite here, +118 on the money line for the Toronto Blue Jays. Total is at 8.5 in this game here. D-Rock, what do you got for Yankees and Blue Jays?
Yeah, I agree. The Yankees should be the favorite. I know they really haven't been playing the best baseball recently, but so haven't the Blue Jays. Both 3-7 in their last 10. But regardless, I feel like you might have to take the Yankees up to a -125 at least. That's what I made them. They do have the better lineup that could go off at any time. I was watching the game last night with the Subway Series. One swing of the bat with Aaron Judge, and it's a ball game. So they have the much better bullpen, but I'm just not a fan of Carlos Rodon. I think that's what's making me stay away from the Yankees. I saw him live last week against the Braves, and he just got absolutely shelled. And I think there was a viral video that he was crying in the dugout. So
oh, God.
I don't know if I could back a guy based on that alone. So he already has a loss in Toronto earlier in the season. He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings, where Jose Barrios, much different pitcher at home than he is on the road. And I know I can't trust their bullpen, Toronto, but if we get a nice price first 5, I think they could be live. I think Jose Barrios is good enough to keep the bats at bay through the first 5 innings. So Blue Jays, first 5 +0.5. I think Barrios could have a nice start against a struggling Yankee team. I wouldn't take him full game just because I don't trust that Blue Jays bullpen. But first 5, I do think they could hang around.
Yeah. I mean, you summed it up. It's the fact that how much faith can you put in Carlos Rodon right now, because he's been absolutely brutal for this pitching rotation of the New York Yankees, right? I mean, just you mentioned what he did, what the Braves were able to do against him in his last start, but even prior to that, he also got lit up in that game. I believe it was against the Red Sox. 5 innings, 5 earned runs, did have 7 strikeouts, 3 walks as well in that game against the Red Sox. But it's just he's been up and down, and it's the fact that I do trust the Blue Jays offense to get to Carlos Rodon. And like you mentioned, he did give up those runs in the 5 innings that he did go against the Blue Jays. And Jose Barrios, the only part that makes me nervous is that he did face them last year, Jose Barrios against the Yankees, and I want to say he lost every one of those starts against them. He was 0-3 with a 5.40 ERA. 2 of those starts were at home, but he gave up at least 3 earned runs in every one of those starts. He allowed a home run in every one of those starts as well against his Yankees team. So, I mean, I guess I would lean here with the Blue Jays first 5 run line, like you mentioned, or even the first 5 money line. I don't want to put my money on Carlos Rodon, especially with the way that he is struggling right now. I just want this Blue Jays team to find some type of consistency on the offensive side of things. And again, we're already seeing the rumors of Vlad being open to a trade, whether that's, to the Yankees or to another organization here. So, with the All-Star break coming up and the trade deadline, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with this Blue Jays team right now, because they've severely underperformed right now.
Do you think they'll actually trade him?
I mean, if he goes to the front office and says, "Hey, I want out of here," I don't think they have a choice. I mean, it's not like they don't have a choice, but
yeah,
when you have a disgruntled star, I think you probably want to maximize what you can get in return for him. And I think that there's teams out there that can use a first baseman. I think, case in point, he would be open to the Yankees. The Astros have an opening at first base as well. Jose Abreu didn't work out for them. There's several other teams that can really use his services. So I would not be surprised if he does get traded at the trade deadline, coming up for this season.
So crazy because they've had so much potential and they wanted to build
Yeah.
around this guy, and now they're sellers at the deadline. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the next game on the schedule. We'll go to an NL Central battle between the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. It'll be Andrew Abbott on the mound here for the Reds, and it'll be Miles Mikolas for the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals are a minus 130 home favorite, plus 110 on the money line for the Cincinnati Reds. Total is at 8 in this game here. D-Rock, I'll lead it off here for this game. So I'll start with Mikolas here. And I want to say he's been really solid actually over his past couple of starts here. His last start was against the Giants, where that was the one bad start he had. But prior to that, I mean, he was going on pretty well. He had a great outing against the Astros, the Pirates, the Cubs. And they've actually won 3 of his last 4 starts, have the St. Louis Cardinals. Andrew Abbott on the other side for the Cincinnati Reds, 6-6 on the season with a 3.40 ERA. Been pretty solid over his last 4 starts. He did get lit up by the St. Louis Cardinals team, in fact, in a start that he made on May 28th. 6 innings, 6 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. But he had a really good outing in his last start against the Red Sox. 10 strikeouts in that game in 5 2/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs that he did allow in that game to the Red Sox here. And I'm just going to pull up here how he's done against the Cardinals in his career. Like I mentioned, he did have that start earlier this season where he did get lit up. He did have 2 starts last year, D-Rock. One was an absolute phenomenal one, which was in St. Louis, 5 2/3, 5 hits. But then he had another start last season, 4 innings, 4 hits, and 6 earned runs he gave up in that game. So at least over his last 2 starts against the Cardinals, 10 innings, 11 hits, 12 earned runs. He's allowed 3 home runs as well as 5 walks and only 6 strikeouts in his last 2 starts there. So I would side here with maybe Cardinals first 5 innings. I think Mikolas is in good form right now. Do the woes continue for Andrew Abbott? It's a possibility. But I think that a good price here would be, or a good play for me here would be on the Cardinals on that first 5 innings, just to back Mikolas here, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite side. I'm going to take the dog here. I only made the Cardinals a minus 115 favorite, so we're right at the number, or right at my number, where we could take the dog. Could be a nice revenge spot here for Abbott as well in the Reds. Last time against the Cardinals, Abbott was his worst outing of the season. He gave up 6 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings. But regardless, yeah, Mikolas has been okay. I'm just not a fan of him, to be honest. At home, 1-2 with a 4.81 ERA. He gives up the deep ball as well. And to be honest, despite what their record is, I still believe the Reds are a better team than the Cardinals. They struggle against lefties. And, I think the Reds could get a big win here on the road. I know they've been struggling, but I like them here. I think they could start surging and get a little momentum here before the All-Star break. So I'm going to take the dog here, plus 114. Hopefully money continues to come in on the Reds and we get a better price. But I'm going to go with the dog in this one.
All right, next game on the schedule, we'll go over to a AL Central battle. The Cleveland Guardians, they are in Kansas City to take on the Royals. Ben Lively getting the start here for the Guardians. It'll be Michael Wacha for the Kansas City Royals. Guardians are a minus 112 road favorite here, minus 104 on the money line for the Kansas City Royals. Total is at 8.5 in this game here between these 2 squads here. D-Rock, what do you got for Guardians and Royals?
Yeah, I mean, how can anyone fade the Guardians right now?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I feel like they are the best team in the MLB. I know people will make the case for the Yankees and the Phillies, but this Guardian team could go toe-to-toe with both of these clubs. And I feel like they would come out of the both of those series as winners, with their pitching. Their lineup 1 through 9, there's not an easy out. They could all hit. They're aggressive. They don't strike out. They have the best bullpen in the MLB. They have one of the best closers in the MLB as well. I just don't feel like a lot of people are giving them their flowers, but yeah, I wanted to give them their flowers real quick, but I'm going to back them here. These 2 teams, they're just going in different directions. Guardians 7-3, their last 10, they've won 7 in a row, where you mentioned it earlier in the pod, the Royals, I don't know what happened. They were off to one of the greatest starts in MLB in the beginning, and then they just sank. 3-7, their last 10. They're struggling to score some runs. I get it. Royals, they play better at home, but the Guardians are just as good on the road than they are the Royals at home. And, Michael Wacha pitching for the Royals, he did have a nice first start coming back, even though they lost, but it was against that Astro team where it keeps coming back to. And I feel like with Ben Lively, I think he's a solid pitcher. He goes anywhere from 5 to 6 innings. And, I think he'll do a good job limiting the bats of the Royals. Royals have only scored 7 runs in the past 5 games, whereas the Guardians, they just put up 10 runs last night. They've scored a total of 32 runs in the past 5 games. So I just honestly don't know why the Royals are the favorite. I get that they're good at home, but I got to take the Guardians here, minus 115. I made them a minus 130 favorite. I even like their team total over 4.5, whatever number you could get at. I think ESPN Bet, they do a good job opening the team totals. But yeah, I like the team total, and I think the Guardians continue to roll here.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at Michael Wacha over his last 3 starts. He's been pretty good, but is again, like we just mentioned, it's that the offense has been struggling. Even despite them putting up 8 against the Padres, the bullpen came in and gave up 9 earned runs after the 5 and 3rd inning, where you're only allowed 2 earned runs. And outside of that Padres game against the Rays and the Rangers, they combined to score 1 run in that game, or sorry, in between those 2 games as the Royals offense. And I thought they would break out here against the Marlins pitching staff, but they weren't able to. I know they scored some runs late in that game on Wednesday afternoon to cover the run line and get the victory. But like you mentioned, it's just 2 teams going in opposite directions. I would expect this number for the Guardians to keep going up. Ben Lively has been absolutely fantastic as well for this Cleveland Guardians rotation. Really has resurrected his career. He's prone to giving up at least 2 earned runs. We'll see if the Royals bats are able to get to him, but the Guardians have won 4 of his last 5 starts that he has made overall, 2 against Toronto, the Marlins, the Nationals, and the Angels. So maybe not the greatest competition there. So I think this will be a great opportunity for us to find out about Ben Lively. He did have 1 start last season against his Royals team. Shockingly, he gave up 10 hits, but they were only able to muster 2 earned runs in that 5 2/3 that he did go against them. So again, like you mentioned, it's 2 teams going in opposite directions. I would be on the Guardians here as well, but I feel like this line is a little bit, it's cheap right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this get up to minus 120, minus 125, maybe even minus 130 overnight by the time we get to game time here between these 2 teams. Last game on the schedule is going to be the Detroit Tigers. They are in Anaheim to take on the Angels. I am seeing that it will be Jack Flaherty for the Detroit Tigers, and for the Angels, it is going to be D. Daniel, as I find his first name.
I think it's Davis Daniels, right?
Davis Daniel. Yeah, there you go. Davis Daniel getting the start here for the Angels. I did not have much for this game here, D-Rock. I know we didn't have a lot of information for Davis Daniel here, but you have anything for this game between the Tigers and the Angels?
Yeah, not much for me either. I didn't know too much about Davis Daniels. I didn't even know he was an MLB player. No disrespect. I just didn't hear of him. No play for me on the side or total. I did make the Tigers a minus 150 favorite. Total seems spot on at 8.5. I made my total 8.6. So going to stay away from the side and total. Instead, I probably look towards a Jack Flaherty out prop. The Tigers used a lot of their bullpen on Wednesday against the Phillies. Their starter got out with like only an inning or 2. So the bullpen was used a lot. You got to imagine, the Tigers pushing Flaherty at least 6 innings. As long as we get a 17 and a half outs, I think he could go over that number. He's gone over that number in 7 of his last 9 starts. Angels don't play well at home. Yeah, they've been winning, but they've been beating up on the Athletics. I don't know how much we could take away from this series. And, we like to back Angels, or at least I do, against lefties, not so much righties. So I think we could see a solid outing here from Flaherty, and I think he could go deep for this Tigers team. So if anything, I'd probably look towards a Jack Flaherty out prop here.
You take a look at what Jack Flaherty has done on the road: 8 starts, 4-1 with a 2.17 ERA. I mean, you mentioned that outs probably great here. But his last 4 starts, he's only allowed 1 earned run to the opposition. And so that was against the Red Sox, the Rangers, the Astros, the Chicago White Sox, and he's gone at least 5 innings in each of those games. And all 4 of those games they won, 3 out of those 4 games that they have won have been by multiple runs here. So, I did see that Davis Daniel made a couple appearances last season for this Angels team at the tail end of the season here, that final week of September. Did have one start in there against the Oakland A's, 5 innings, 2 hits, didn't give up anything. Did have a start an appearance against the Minnesota Twins, 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, gave up a home run in that game, 5 walks. So last season, I think walks were a concern for him as well. He did go 3 innings against the Guardians last year, allowed 3 walks in that game as well, only gave up 2 hits. So we'll find out a lot about him in this game here. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to anyone maybe taking the run line here for the Tigers, especially with how dominant Jack Flaherty has been, especially on the road. And like you mentioned, I think this will be a game where he maybe does go 6+ innings here for the Tigers. So I think that's a great call by you by an outs prop here for Jack Flaherty against the LA Angels. All right, so that is the last game on the schedule for the Thursday card here. Let's get into our lock and dog here, D-Rock, and then we'll give out our home run picks as well for the Thursday games. You want to lead us off with your lock and dog?
Yeah, so for my lock, I was gonna take the Phillies. I mean, -1.5 for their team total. I just think with Trevor Rogers, I just don't trust him at all, especially on the road. You mentioned the game one of series between, that was a great stat from the Marlins. They just don't come out in series. They don't provide, they don't score runs. So, and against the ace of Zach Wheeler, I think this is a bad spot. So for my lock, I'm going to take the Phillies -1.5. As my dog, I was hoping to get the Giants at a plus money price, but we didn't get there. I'll take a shot here with the Reds, because like I said, I think the Reds are the better team slightly. I still believe in the Reds a little bit. I think they have the better offense. I know the Cardinals are playing much better, especially at home, but just not a big believer in Miles Mikolas. I think the Reds are going to get to him, and I think this could be a nice revenge spot here for Andrew Abbott. But yeah, +114. Hopefully we get a little better of a price. But yeah, I'm going to take the Reds here as my dog of the day.
All right. For my lock, I think it is going to be the Guardians in this game. Until I see the offense really break out for the Royals, I can't back them right now. And again, this Guardians team is just rolling right now, especially offensively. Michael Walker is just, again, I think he's the epitome of inconsistency. Like, you'll get a start where he looks absolutely fantastic, but as more times than not, it'll be a bad start out of him. So yeah, I like the Guardians here in this game. I'll take them on the on the money line -112. For my dog, I think Blue Jays first 5 is a good look here. A full game, I couldn't talk you off of that, but I've sworn to myself that I would not take the Blue Jays, because every time I bet them, they're automatically down like 5-0 in a game. Let's see. Twins are at a minus. There are an underdog there, but yeah, I think it'll be the Twins for me. I'll take them on the money line here. It's at a minus price, but they are an underdog in the game there, so not really maybe qualifies as a plus price underdog, but they are the underdog in the game there. Let me see if I can find a better line somewhere else for this game. Yeah, not posted yet, but again, with a limited menu, especially with the number of games that we do have, and some heavy juice favorites, at least 2 in the games, I'll go with the Twins here. If you want to go Twins like -1, if your book does offer that, that'll definitely be at plus money. I do think that this is a spot where Jordan Montgomery comes back down to earth here, and I do think the Twins can steal one here. We did talk about that. It'll be their top prospect, or one of their top prospects that is going to be pitching in this game. And a lot of times those prospects have the advantage because the opposing teams really don't have a lot of a big scouting report on that pitcher, or they don't have a lot of tape on that pitcher as well. So I think this is a game where I think the Twins can get one and get to Jordan Montgomery in this game. So I'll go the Twins money line as my pick, as my quote unquote dog for the day. All right, D-Rock, let's wrap it up here with our home run picks for the Thursday card here. Who you got leaving the yard?
Real quick, are we done? Are we convinced on this? The name Dingers, or
We'll make an adjustment. We're still playing with it. Somebody mentioned go yard or go home, and
yeah,
somebody mentioned
Max.
yeah, Daily Dinger. Someone mentioned that as well. I like that one as well. So we'll probably finalize something over the weekend and get a graphic made, and then
Yeah.
we'll go from there. I'm leaning towards Daily Dingers though.
I like Daily Dingers. I don't tell Mal, but it's just too many dingers.
Yeah,
for
Mal's
me.
just he's a nutcase. We know that.
He's living in his own world. But I'm gonna go to the Marlins and Phillies game, and I'm gonna target a Marlins pitcher, Trevor Rogers. We just talked about he's given up a home run in 4 of his last 5 starts. And I'm gonna take Nick Castellanos here to get a home run. He's already he has a home run already off of Rogers this season. He has 11 home runs on the year, and 6 of his 11 home runs have come against lefties. He does hit lefties a little better than righties. 4 of his home runs have come in the month of June. He's actually crushing the ball lately. So he went 0 for 4 today, but that I love it even more. I think he's been quiet the past few days, but I think he's due. I think this is a good matchup, and he's had success in his career against Trevor Rogers. So I'm going to take Nick Castellanos to have a home run tomorrow.
All right. For my pick here, I'm going to go with Jonathan India of the Cincinnati Reds. He's had success against Miles Mikolas in his career. So 19 at bats, 22 plate appearances. He does have 6 hits, so not a lot of hits, but 3 of those 6 hits have actually left the yard for Jonathan India here. And maybe there's a game where Miles Mikolas does come back down to earth. I know I did mention that I do like the Cardinals in this game, but if he gives up a solo home run, maybe early to Jonathan India, I think that would be a nice price there for him tomorrow, on the Thursday card there. So, the funny part is, D-Rock, that I've given out 2 home run picks when we started doing these segments, and I know we recorded a day early to get the lines for tomorrow, but the picks that I've given out for at least 2 of the times, those guys have hit home run that night for me. I picked Aaron Judge yesterday. Me and Scott were recording, and then he hit that grand slam against the Mets. And then I think I had Devers I think this was the first or second show that we did when we introduced the segments, and out the yard as well. So hopefully Jonathan India does come in for me at least Thursday, because I know that they already played their game against the Pirates here. So hopefully we can get to the window with Jonathan India to hit a home run. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast. Scott, anything else Dylan, do you want to anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No. Hopefully we have some good bets and give out some winners. I know it's a short slate usually here on a Wednesday for Thursday, but continue to hop in the chat and like, subscribe, and rate.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat joining us. It's always fun interacting with the chat. Makes the show even more fun and go by a little bit faster as well. And again, I always say this, if you're in the chat or maybe watch us live later, drop your picks in there as well. If you want to drop in your dinger picks, or if you want to drop your lock-in dog, or if you're your best bet, whatever the case might be. Love to see what you guys are betting on as well. Make sure you guys follow D-Rock on Twitter. That's at Rock with 2 Ks, ROCKK24. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at SportsNerd824. And make sure you guys if you haven't, subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter at MLB SGPN, and also on Instagram at MLB_gambling_podcast. So do us a favor and like and subscribe and leave us a review if you haven't already as well. Definitely do appreciate that. All right, that's going to do it here for today. We'll be back tomorrow in some form or fashion. Same time, same place to go over the Friday card. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.